press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello students, in today's class we will start a new chapter, but before that let us know something. Okay, to produce its kind is a characteristic of all living organisms, right? So the production of new individuals from their parents is known as reproduction. Okay, so basically reproduction is a process in which there is a production of new individual. Okay, so that process is nothing but reproduction. Okay, so do we know how plants reproduce? Okay. So in this chapter, that is reproduction in plants, we are going to study how the plants produce their own kind. Okay. So the modes of reproduction in the plants are, almost all the plants have the structures, that is roots, stems and leaves. Okay. These structures, that is roots, stems and leaves, are nothing but the vegetative parts. Okay. So flowers perform function of reproduction. Okay, so remember the part in the plant which involves in the reproduction is flowers. Yes, all flowers, all plants do flower, right? There is a particular season in which flowering happens. Okay, so those flowers are the parts which helps in the reproduction, and that flower is called reproductive part of the plant. Alright, so the roots, stems and leaves form the vegetative parts, and the flower which helps in the reproduction is called reproductive part. Okay, now let us see the types of reproduction in plants. Basically there are two types of reproduction, that is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, plants give rise to the new plants without seeds. Okay, in the sexual reproduction, new plants are formed or obtained from the seeds. Okay, so in the plant reproduction there are basically two types, that is asexual and sexual. Okay, so in asexual reproduction, plants, okay, so what is reproduction exactly? Producing our same kind. Okay, so that is reproduction. Okay, and in the plants there are two types of reproduction, that is asexual and sexual. In the asexual, the difference between these, the basic difference is asexual reproduction means the reproduction, okay, the plants produce their own kind without seeds. Okay, and in sexual reproduction, new plants are obtained from the seeds itself. Okay, now in the asexual reproduction, okay, we will start with the asexual reproduction, in which we are going to study about vegetative propagation, budding, fragmentation and spore formation. These are the types of asexual reproduction in plants. Okay, now let us start our discussion with the vegetative propagation. Okay, it is a type of asexual reproduction in which new plants are produced from root, stems, leaves and buds, nothing but the vegetative parts. Okay, these roots, stems and leaves are the vegetative parts, whereas the flower is the reproductive part. Okay, and the reproduction which is due to these vegetative parts, like I have mentioned, the reproduction due to these vegetative parts, that is root, seed, stem, leaves and buds, is called vegetative propagation. Okay, since the reproduction is through the vegetative parts of the plant, it is known as vegetative propagation. Okay, here in this image you can see there is an example of rose plant. Okay, so this is a rose plant here. Okay, this doesn't have seeds, right? So how does reproduction occurs in this? Okay, how does we produce one more or similar rose plants? What we do is we cut, okay, so this is a node, okay, the point, this is a node, this is a node and this is a node, okay, the point in the stem length, okay, that is a node. Here these leaves are removed and these cuttings, okay, we call it as cuttings, okay, and this stem, okay, this stem is utilized, okay, this stem is cut into a particular length, and those stems are placed or soiled, you can say, those stems are planted. Okay, and after that planting, it again forms a new plant that grows into a new plant. This is how vegetative propagation of stem happens. Okay, this is one best example for the here stem is the one which acts as the reproductive part. Okay, because from the stem there is a reproduction. Okay, that is asexual reproduction. Here there is no male gamete, here there is no female gamete, nothing of that sort happens here. Here just the stem. Okay, here what is this? This is the stem of the rose plant. This is cut into a similar or a particular length size, and these we call it as cuttings, right? So when this stem is cut into a particular length, that is planted or in the soil, and that again grows into a new plant. Okay, so that is vegetative propagation. And here also, here is an example, you can see this is the ginger, right? So this ginger, no, these are the root hairs of this ginger. When this portion of the ginger is cut and planted into the soil, again this grows into a new plant. Also you can see here is an example of potato, right? So this is a potato, and you can observe those in some potatoes you can see a bud like appearance. Okay, so the small plant like thing you can say, so that is the eye. Okay, so this eye when planted, okay, this eye with the part of a potato when planted in the soil grows into a new plant. Here you can see the germinating eye bud grows into a new plant, and when again that is planted in the soil, it again grows as a potato plant. Okay, here in these examples there are no flower involved. Okay, so is there a flower part involved here? No, here we have seen the vegetative part, that is stem. Again we have seen the roots here, because ginger roots are the parts from which propagation happens. Okay, and here the structures through which reproduction is done, that is asexual reproduction, that is the eye. Okay, so these are the structures in the potato root from which there is reproduction. Okay, so these are all the examples of asexual reproduction where only vegetative parts, that is the root, okay, root, stems and leaves are used for reproduction. So that is nothing but the asexual reproduction. Okay, so this is our example of vegetative propagation from roots. Okay, this is one more thing. Here you can see the example of sweet potato. Okay, so this sweet potato is propagated from the roots, right? So here sweet potato and dahlia are the examples in which vegetative propagation we can see, by the roots. And also here vegetative propagation occurs through the leaves, right? So example is the bryophyllum. It is kind of plant, an example where the propagation, where the reproduction, okay, where the same kind of plants are propagated through these leaves. Okay, here see again new plants are, you can clearly see here the buds are growing. Okay, again when these are taken out and planted, that again grows into a new plant. Okay, so these are all the examples of the vegetative propagation. Now let us see the advantages of vegetative propagation. Okay, what is the use of the vegetative propagation? Why do we go for vegetative propagation? Okay, so this vegetative propagation is very useful for plant growers, as they can get large quantities of new plants in a short time. Okay, so when here we have taken an example of this rose. Okay, for example, here is a whole stem, and we can cut this stem into some 3-4 parts. Okay, for example 1, 2, 3, 4, and when we have cut the stem here into 4 parts, or the 4 cuttings we can say, we will plant the 4 cuttings in the soil. Okay, that after it requires all this soil nutrients, water and everything, and it start growing. Now from this one plant we have grown 4 different plants now. 4 plants only, but number of plants are 4. Okay, this 4 same kind of plant, that is rose, we have grown. From this single plant we have again grown 4 plants. Okay, so now in a short period we can grow many number of plants, and again from that one single plant again we can grow many number of plants. So that is what it means, that vegetative propagation is very useful, as we can grow very large number of plants in a short period of time. And the newly reproduced plants have exact characters as that of their parent plant. Okay, there is no change in the vegetative propagation. Whatever the parent plant we have taken, again the next plant what we are growing up, again it will be the same. Okay, same kind. Okay, there will be the exact copy. There is no differentiation between the next generation plant or the parent plant. Okay, it will be the same. The fruit without seed, disease and drought resistant plants can be produced using these methods. Okay, so this is the advantages of vegetative propagation. Why do we need vegetative propagation? Is because fruits without seeds can be produced. Okay, so some of the fruits we prefer eating it in the seedless manner. Okay, so for those fruits we need this propagation. So this is very helpful in growing seedless fruits. Okay, and disease and drought resistance plant can be produced using these methods. Okay, most of the plants, okay, are attracted to the diseases. Okay, due to the change in the atmospheric conditions, what happens, the plants are more attractable to the insect or the pest or the diseases. Okay, even like we get diseases when, okay, when oftentimes when we get diseases, even the same way plants get diseases. Okay, when we are, our immunity is strong. Okay, when we have healthy, when we are healthy, when we have a strong immunity, we do not get easily attacked with the diseases. The same way when the plant is healthy, it also does not get attacked with the different kinds of diseases attack or the pest attack. Okay, so this is one of the process, this is one of the reproduction process from which these drought resistant means these plants can also grow without or much need of water. Okay, these are resistant to drought. Okay, so drought means unavailability of water. Okay, most of the plants, almost all the plants need water, right? And when we do not give water to them, they die. Okay, so that is the drought. Okay, but these plants will be somewhat resistant to the drought. Okay, even in the unavailability of water also these plants do not die, this can grow quite well. And again, it is easy to produce new varieties of plants with the required characteristics. Okay, so we know at a higher level, okay, we need some plants which are different characteristics from that of the parent. Okay, so that also we can reproduce. Okay, different plants, we can take cutting of the rose plant and also cutting of the different jasmine plant, we can say. Okay, so that we can connect together, and again that is a different process, that is called grafting. Okay, that is not in our syllabus, but there is something called grafting in which two different plants are taken, they are tied together and again they are planted together, right? So they are planted and again they are grown. Okay, so that plant would be having both the characteristics of rose as well as the jasmine. Okay, so that also it is easier to produce new varieties, different varieties of plants with the required characteristics. So whatever the characteristics we need, we can get it by this vegetative propagation. Alright, vegetative plants grow faster than that of the plants grown from the seeds and needs less attention during early stages of growth. Okay, when the plant is in early stages, okay, when the plant is growing stages, that's when it needs more and more attention. Okay, it needs required water, it needs more care, it needs a resistant atmosphere. Okay, so it needs the required atmospheric conditions where it can grow well. Okay, but these plants which are grown from the help of this vegetative propagation, okay, do not require much attention. Even without too much of water, required atmospheric conditions, they can still grow well and good. Okay, so these are the advantages of this vegetative propagation. Okay, now let us continue the asexual reproduction, that is the second type of asexual reproduction, that is the budding. Okay, so what is this budding? Some simple organisms reproduce by producing small outgrowths from their body. These outgrowths are called buds. Okay, and example are yeast. Okay, yeast is a simple microorganism which, how does yeast multiply? We know that yeast is a unicellular organism, right? Okay, so this yeast multiplies with the help of this budding process. Okay, so here is the yeast cell, here the bud develops and there is a formation of new bud and again it keeps on growing. Okay, so this is the budding. Budding is nothing but where buds grow. Okay, this is nothing but the bud. Okay, a small the same small bud structure. So this is the bud. Okay, the simple outgrowths, right? Outgrowths from the body. Okay, from the same body we will get these smaller outgrowths and this outgrowth forms a new body again. Okay, so these are the new buds now. This again forms a new cell. Okay, so these are simple organisms, example yeast, which is a unicellular organism which has only one cell. Okay, so they reproduce by producing small outgrowths from their body and that outgrowths are nothing but the buds. Hence the process of this reproduction. Okay, and the process of this is called budding. Okay, the buds gradually grow and get detached from the parent cell and forms new organism. Okay, you can just remember this image. Okay, you can clearly understand. Here is a new parent cell. Okay, this is a yeast cell, and from this there is smaller outgrowth you can see like this, and this forms a bud here. Okay, and that buds keeps on growing and gets detached from the parent cell, and when this gets detached, that again forms a new cell, and again from that the bud grows, right, again it forms a new bud, and again there is reproduction. Okay, so this is one of the reproduction method, that is the budding. Okay, budding means here the buds are involved. Okay, the body, the simple organism, in simple organisms this reproduction happens. Okay, where the bud grows. Okay, the bud grows and it gets detached from the parent body and forms a new organism. Example, the yeast cells. And this is one more example of the asexual reproduction. Okay, we have seen all these green slimy patchy structures, right, in the water, in a stagnant water we can clearly see these slimy structures. So what are these? These are nothing but the algae, right. You can see when there is stagnant water, earlier days it will be somewhat, only somewhere here and there it will be green, but after some time, after few days, as you can see the green, okay, these slimy green patches increases, keep on, okay, day by day this increases, okay, as there is stagnant water. So what are these? How does this reproduction happens in these algae? Okay, so these green patchy slimy structures are nothing but the algae, and the process of reproduction in algae is fragmentation. Okay, so the reproduction process in this algae is fragmentation. So now what is fragmentation? When water and nutrients are available to the algae, this grow and multiply rapidly by fragmentation. Okay, so how does this happen? This is an alga, this is a green like structure. Now this fragmentation is nothing but this algae breaks up into two. Okay, so you can see this algae breaks up into two, and again this broken up part, again this breaks into two, right, again that part also breaks up into two. So now we have, in the next generation we have 4. Okay, so now that 4 doubles to make 16. Again that 16 doubles to make 32. So like that, that's what happens here. After few there will be duration. Okay, there will be a time span from which these divides. Okay, now here alga divides to get into two structures, into two fragments. Okay, here the alga divides into two fragments, hence the process is called fragmentation. Okay, in the yeast cells we have seen the outgrowths called buds, and those buds grows into new structures, that is called budding. The same way here the alga breaks up and divides into two fragments, hence it is called fragmentation. Okay, here the alga breaks up into 2 or more fragments, and these fragments or pieces grow into new individuals, and when they grow, again these divide into 2, again that 2 will divide into further 2. Okay, so that's what happens. This process continues and they cover a large area in a short period of time. So that was happen here. This alga, in a period of span, in a small period of time, in a short period of time, it can reproduce into large area. Okay, so this fragment of alga, okay, this divided into 2 fragments. Okay, hence it is called fragmentation. Okay, nothing but an alga breaks up into, divide into 2 fragments. Okay, now this fragment grows into a new individual, again that divides into 2, again the other half also, okay, this and other half also divides into 2 different fragments. Okay, so likewise reproduction, the process will keep on continuing. Okay, so that's the reason in a small period of time it can cover a large area. Okay, so this is about one more reproductive method in asexual reproduction, that is fragmentation. Okay, now let us see last method in the asexual reproduction, that is spore formation. Okay, in our in our first chapters we have seen that example of bread. Okay, when we keep bread for some 2-3 days, when the bread is moist and we keep it just like that for first just simple 2-3 days, you can do this activity. Okay, just keep a moist bread, okay, for 2-3 days without touching it, without just cover it and keep. After 2-3 days we can see some spore like formation on the bread. Okay, so that's what is spore formation. Okay, so here there is a fungi on bread piece grow from these spores which are present in the air. Okay, here these spores are the asexual reproductive bodies. Okay, like buds were the reproductive parts in the budding, and fragments were the reproductive parts in fragmentation. Likewise these spores. Okay, so here we can see a structure of fungus. Okay, so here we can see the spores. Okay, so these are the spores. Okay, this is how reproduction happens in the spore formation. There is a formation of spores, and due to that spores another individual is produced. Okay, so here the spores are the asexual reproductive bodies. Okay, so each spore is covered by a hard protective coat to withstand unfavorable conditions such as high temperature and low humidity, so they can survive for a long time. Okay, so whatever the spores are produced, they have a hard covering. Okay, so that they are unaffected from the atmospheric conditions. Okay, sometimes conditions are very high temperature, very high humidity, or low humidity, very low temperature, like that. Okay, so due to their covering, okay, these spores are small tiny spores that even not sometimes spores are not even we cannot see through our naked eyes. Okay, so that spores are formed. Okay, so this has a outer covering, okay, hard protective coat we are saying. Okay, why it is protective? Because when there is adverse climatic conditions, okay, when the climatic conditions are adverse, they still can survive because of this protective coat. Okay, and that coating of their body protects them from the high temperature and the low humidity. And they find the when they find favorable condition, when they feel okay, our condition is good enough to grow, they start multiplying. Okay, so that was happen. Under favorable conditions, a spore germinates and develops into a new individual. Right, here the spores are the reproductive parts, and these spores, okay, these are the tiny small structures. Right, so this germinates again, okay, to provide a new individual. When they germinate, okay, they germinate when they feel they have a favorable condition. Okay, so that's when the spore germinates, and after germination, yes, it again forms a new individual. Okay, plants such as example for this are for spore formation are mosses and ferns. They reproduce by means of spores. Okay, here we can see. Okay, this is a bread. Okay, this is how spore formation happens in bread. Okay, this and all we cannot see through our naked eyes, but yes, these are the spore structures. Here you can see the spores. Okay, so this is how it start reproducing. Okay, and this is spore forming bodies in ferns. Okay, these, okay, so here spores are formed, again they reproduce. Okay, so this is about the spore formation and also about the asexual reproduction in plants. Okay, in asexual reproduction what we have studied? Yes, we have studied about the vegetative propagation. So what does vegetative propagation means? Vegetative propagation means vegetative parts. What are the vegetative parts? That is the roots, stems and leaves. Okay, so these are the vegetative parts, and from these parts reproduction happens. Okay, so that is what we call asexual reproduction. Okay, hence it is the vegetative propagation. Okay, so here we have seen reproduction by stem, by roots and also by this eyes. Okay, so these are the structures present on the potato. Okay, here no flower is involved, no gametes, male and gametes are involved. Okay, hence it is asexual reproduction. Another example of asexual reproduction is budding. Okay, budding is nothing but where these small buds are the gets detached from this parent cell and they form into the new individual. Okay, the formation of buds, okay, they keep on growing, they detach themselves from the parent cell and again from the new individual. Okay, so that is the budding. And here one more asexual reproduction, that is the fragmentation. We all have seen these greeny slimy patches on the ponds or in the stagnant water. Okay, so these are nothing but the algae. Okay, so how does this reproduce? This reproduces by fragmentation. So what is fragmentation? Fragmentation is nothing but an algae breaks up into two or more fragments. Okay, so here fragments are formed and this fragment again forms a new individual. Okay, so that is fragmentation. Okay, and by this process they cover a large area in a short period of time. Hence one more important mode of asexual reproduction is the spore formation. Okay, in the spore formation, as the name says, spores are formed. Okay, which are these spores? Are the reproductive parts. Okay, these spores have outer hard covering, outer hard protective coat which protects them from the harsh climatic conditions. Okay, and when they find the conditions are favorable for their growth, they germinate. Okay, they germinate and they form a new individual. They forms into a new organism. Okay, so that is spore formation. Examples are mosses and ferns. So this is all about the asexual reproduction in plants. Now let us see what are the sexual reproduction in plants. Okay, so the reproductive parts of the plant are flowers. Alright, so these flowers are the reproductive parts of the plant. Alright. When we are saying reproductive parts of the plant, the reproductive part should contain both male gametes also and female gametes also, right? So the stamens are the male reproductive part. Okay, so remember flowers, yes, of course, flowers are the reproductive parts in the plant, and yes, the flowers have the structure called stamens. Okay, here you can see this structure of stamen. Okay, this is a male reproductive part, and it also have a part called pistil. Okay, so this pistil, you can see this pistil is the female reproductive part. Okay, so this is a male reproductive part, stamen, and the female reproductive part, that is a pistil. Okay, and the flowers which contain either pistil or only the stamen are called unisexual flowers. Okay, the flowers, okay, few flowers have both stamen and pistil in the same flower. Okay, and few flowers have this stamen and pistil into different flowers. Okay, they have either stamen. Okay, few flowers will have either stamen, they won't be having pistil. Few flowers only have pistil and not stamen. Okay, those flowers which either have only stamen or only pistil are called unisexual flowers. Okay, so the flowers which has either stamen or pistil, that is the flowers which are having either male reproductive part or female reproductive part, are called unisexual flowers. Example, corn, papaya and cucumber. Okay, so these plants reproduce flowers, okay, which has either stamen or pistil, which either will be having male reproductive part or female reproductive part. Okay, so that is about these unisexual flowers. Now the flowers which contain both stamen and pistil are called bisexual flowers. Okay, so the flowers which has both stamen and pistil, both male and reproductive part together in the same flower, they are called bisexual flowers. An example are mustard, rose, petunia and hibiscus. The best example is hibiscus. You can clearly find stamen and pistil in that. Okay, so that is the bisexual flowers. Okay, both the male and female unisexual flowers may be present in the same plant or in different plants. Okay, anther contains pollen grains which produce male gametes. Okay, so here we have seen a stamen. This is a structure of stamen which has some structure called anther and filament. Okay, so this anther, okay, this is the anther part. Okay, so this anther contains pollen grains. Okay, so this contains, inside this pollen grains are present, and this produces male gametes. Okay, so this is why stamens are the male reproductive parts, because it has an anther which is having pollen grain which produces male gamete. Okay, and this pistil consists of stigma. Okay, so the female reproductive part, that is the pistil, consists of stigma, okay, and the style and the ovary. Okay, and the ovary contains one or more ovules. Inside this ovary, here you can see the ovules, right? Inside this ovules are present. Okay, so inside this ovules are present. When you cut this ovule and ovary and see, we can find ovules. Okay, so this female gamete, or the egg is formed in an ovule. Okay, here this is where female gametes are formed. Okay, so this is the stamen, that is the male reproductive part. Here anther is present in which pollen grains are present. That pollen grains produces male gametes. This is the female reproductive part in the flower. It is having stigma, style, ovary and ovule. Okay, so this ovule produces the female gamete. Okay, so this is about the male and female gametes in male and female reproductive parts in plants. Okay, so the plants, some plants, either they will be having male part or the female part. Okay, so those plants which are having only stamen or only pistil are called unisexual flowers. Okay, and the plants which have both both male and reproductive parts in the same flower, they are called bisexual flowers. Okay, so this is about the male reproductive part and female reproductive part. and in this sexual reproduction a male gamete released from this anther, okay, the male gamete and the female gamete produced in this ovary fuse to form a zygote, okay. So this is a sexual reproduction in plants, okay. Now how the male gamete in the pollen grain reaches the female gamete present in the ovule. Okay, so this is the process, like this, now we know, okay, when there is sexual reproduction, male and female gamete should fuse together to form a zygote, okay. So this zygote develops into a new individual, right. So here we are having anther, that is, it is having pollen grains which produces the male gametes, right. Here we are having pistil which is having stigma, style, ovary and ovule. Here we are having ovule that which produce female gamete, okay. Here when we are having male gamete which is produced from the anther and female gametes are produced in the ovule, okay. Now this two has to fuse together to form zygote, okay. Now how does this anther, I mean the male gamete and the female gamete fuse together, okay. Generally pollen grains have a tough protective coat which prevents them from drying up, okay. Since the pollen grains are light, they can be carried by wind or water, okay. So when these pollen grains, okay, when these pollen grains are present from this anther, and when these pollen grains are due to this these are very light, okay. When even when people are light, okay, even they'll feel when there is too much of wind, they feel they'll fly away, right. So that's what happens when the pollen grains are very light, even due to the small wind or even due to the water flow, they just fly away, okay. These pollen grains are lifted, okay. These pollen grains are carried by the wind or water, okay. Now what happens, insects also, that insects which visits the flowers and carry away pollen on their bodies. Sometimes, okay, insects feed on flowers, right, insects feed on flowers to get the nectar from them, okay. When they are feeding to the flower, when they get attracted towards these flowers, sometimes what happens, this anther, okay, which has pollen grains, which has male gametes in that, okay, so that are placed, okay, that are taken away, okay, that gets stick to the insect body or somehow it gets stick to the insect parts, different parts, and these are taken away. And if the same insect land or goes to this pistil, okay, now when a pistil, so that's how this male gamete and female gamete fuse, okay. So some of the pollen lands on the stigma of a flower of the same kind, okay. So this transfer of pollen from the anther to the stigma of a is called pollination. Yes, so see here the male gamete, okay, the male gamete which is produced in anther is transferred, okay, is transferred to the female gamete, okay. So this transfer of pollen grain from male gamete to the female gamete is called pollination. So what is this pollination? The transfer of pollen from the anther to the stigma of the flower is called pollination. Now again, pollination are of two different types, okay. The different types of pollination are self-pollination and cross-pollination, okay. So in this, if the pollen lands on the stigma of the same flower, it is called self-pollination, okay. And when the pollen of the flower lands on the stigma of the another flower, it is called cross-pollination, okay. For example, see here the anther is present, and now we know this is the male, here from the here this is where male gametes are produced, okay. Now here this is the female gametes are produced. Now these both has to fuse together to form a new individual, okay. This is what sexual reproduction means. Now how does this happen? Either these anthers come to this flower either when the wind flows or due to the water flow, or sometimes when flower feeds on insects, okay, the insects carry this pollen grain from anther to the stigma, okay. So those are all the means, okay, those are all the means from which the male gamete gets transferred to this stigma of the female flower, okay. So that is the pollination. Now pollination is of two types, okay, the self-pollination and cross-pollination, okay. In self-pollination what happens, the anther, okay, here the anther, this is where male gametes are produced, right. So the male gametes produced in the anther gets transferred to the stigma of the same flower, Okay, so when the male gametes produced in the anther gets transferred to the same flower, it is called self-pollination. Okay, so when the anther is produced and gets transferred to the same or different flower of the same plant, that is called cross-pollination. Okay, here you can see, okay, here we have some two flowers. Okay, see, this is an flower where we have seen the self pollination. See, here is the stigma and here this is the anther. Okay, so this is the male productive part, that is stamen. Okay, so this is the stamen, this is the anther and this is the filament. Okay, now in this flower both male and female gamete are present. Okay, this is the hibiscus flower here in which both male and female gametes are present in the same flower. Okay, so these are the anther, this is the stamen structure and this is the pistil. Okay, here we are having stigma, style and this is the ovary. Inside this ovary ovule are present. Okay, so this is the female pistil, female reproductive part pistil and this is the anther. Okay, male productive part. When the anther of this flower, that is the pollen grain, pollens of this flower, why am I saying pollen? Because pollen, inside this pollen they carry male gametes. This has to fuse with the female. Only then in sexual reproduction, only when the male and female gamete fuse together they form a new individual, that is a zygote. Okay, so when this anther falls, okay, when anther gets transferred to the stigma of the same flower, this is the same single flower, right? Here we have anther from which these pollens or the pollen grains are transferred to the same flower. Okay, they are transferred to the stigma of the same flower. This is called self-pollination. Okay, where anther is transferred to the, where the pollens from the anther are transferred to the stigma of the same flower. This is called self-pollination. And in the cross-pollination, what happens? Here the anther, you can see the arrow mark here. Okay, see this shorter arrow mark is showing that anther from this has transferred to the stigma to this. Okay, here in this arrow mark is showing that this anther, okay, this pollen is transferred to the stigma of the another flower. Okay, so this is one different flower and this is another flower. But here in this example, in the self-pollination, anther, okay, and the pollens has transferred to the stigma of the same flower. This is self-pollination. Here the anther is, okay, so this is the anther. This anther is transferred to the stigma of the different flower. This is called cross-pollination. Okay, so this just remember this image. You can clearly understand what is self-pollination and cross-pollination. Okay, don't get confused, just remember this image. Okay, anther, when the pollen gets transferred to the stigma of the same flower is called self-pollination, and when this anther gets transferred to the different flower, okay, so that is cross-pollination. Simple. Okay, so these are all the pollination types, that is self-pollination and cross-pollination. Okay, now yes, what is fertilization? Okay, here the cell which results after fusion of gametes is called a zygote. Okay, here male and female gametes fuse together to form a structure called zygote, and that zygote forms into a new visual. Okay, so the process of fusion of male and female gametes to form a zygote is called fertilization. Okay, so what is fertilization? Okay, the forming, okay, the process of fusion of male and female gamete. Okay, so the male gametes which are produced from the anther and the female gametes which are produced from the pistil or the stigma, they fuse together to form a zygote. Okay, so this process of fusing a male and female gamete together are called fertilization. Okay, and this zygote develops into an embryo. Okay, now how fruits and seeds are formed. Okay, now let's look out fruits and seed formation after fertilization. Okay, now what happened? There is the two flowers. This is how fertilization, sexual reproduction occurs. We have some two flowers, okay, which has both stamen and pistil. Right, the pollen grains from the anther, if it transfers to the same plant, it is called pollination. Okay, if the anthers or the pollen grains are transferred to the stigma of the different flower, it is called cross pollination. Okay, So this process, and this in sexual reproduction means male and female gamete has to be fused, right? So when these male and gametes are fusing, this process is called fertilization, in which zygote is formed, okay, which develops into an embryo. Okay, so this is about the fertilization. Okay, now after fertilization, the ovary grows into a fruit and other parts of the flower will follow. Okay, so this is the flower, right? Okay, I am saying the next process. Here anther male gamete falls into the female gamete. Okay, so this is a fusion. Okay, fusion of male and female gamete. Okay, so what happens? So this there is a this is the fertilization process where male gamete and female gamete fuse together. Now what happens to when the fruit has to grow, right? So this ovary, okay, so this ovary germinates or grows into a fruit, and when it is growing, this flower only becomes the fruit. Okay, all these flower parts, okay, this anther, this stigma, all these petals, they fall off. Okay, and this ovary becomes a fruit. Okay, that's how it grows further. Okay, when we say, like for example, mango tree, okay, there will be a season, it will be a plain tree. After that, flowering happens. Okay, you might have seen there are first tiny small white flowers grown in the mango tree. So pollination occurs, and after this fertilization, all this, okay, when the male and female gametes fuse together, this ovary forms into a new fruit. Okay, after that, these petals and all the different parts of the flowers will fall off. Okay, and the fruit grows. Okay, so that fruit is nothing but this ovary. Ovary grows or ovary matures into fruit. Okay, so this is what happens. Okay, so this fruit is nothing but the ripened ovary. Okay, here this fruit, this is the ovary which forms into the fruit, and other different parts of the flower will fall off. Okay, so the seed develops from the ovules. Yes, like in this structure we have seen, right? Here this is the ovary, right? So this ovary, when we cut the section of ovary and see inside, ovules are present. Okay, this ovary forms, okay, when there is fertilization after pollination, this ovary forms into the fruit, right? This develops into the fruit, and every fruit had the seeds inside, right? So these ovules, okay, see these ovules develop into seeds. Okay, after fertilization, ovary develops into fruit and ovule develops into the seed. Okay, and yes, some fruits are fleshy and juicy such as mango, apple and orange, and some fruits are hard like almonds and walnuts. Okay, so this is how fruits and seeds are formed. Okay, so remember, fruits are nothing but the ovary. After fertilization, okay, so this ovary develops into fruit, and this ovules inside the ovary develops into the seed. Okay, here you can see, here we have pollen grain. Okay, when after fertilization, this is the stigma. Okay, this is the ovule. Okay, this is the structure of ovule. See here the pollen grain is germinating. Okay, see this is the showing this germinating. Okay, this pollen grain germinates, and after it germinates, you can see after this germination of this pollen grain, pollen tube is formed which fuses with this ovum. Okay, here pollen grain, when it germinates, see it fuses with this ovum. Nothing but male gamete, okay, is fusing with the female gamete, which forms the zygote. Okay, so that zygote is developed into a embryo which further forms a new individual. Okay, remember, fertilization is a process in which fusion of male and female gametes occur. Okay, and this zygote develops into an embryo. Okay, so this ovary develops into a fruit and ovule develops into a seed. Okay, few fruits might be juicy like apple, mango and orange. Some fruits are hard like almonds and walnuts. Okay, so now let us know about the one more phenomena, that is seed dispersal. Okay, in nature there are same kind of plants grow at different places. Okay, this happens because seeds are dispersed to different places. Right, we all know that different plants are grown in different places, right? Same plants will go in the different places, the different types of plants will grow in the same places. Okay, vice versa, we all know this, right? So there are same kind of plants grow at different places, and this happens because that seeds are dispersed to different places. Okay, so the plants benefit by seed dispersal. This seed dispersal prevents the competition. Okay, seed dispersal means what? Seeds are displaced from one place to another. Okay, when the number of seeds are present in the same place, of course the seeds are the one which grow into definitely into new individual, right? So seeds are the parts which grow into the new individual. Okay, so when all the seeds are present at the same place, there is competition for this light, for water, for minerals, because all these plants need water, minerals and nutrients, right? When all seeds are present together in the same place, they all compete with each other and no plant will grow healthy. Okay, so there is a natural phenomenon, that is a seed dispersal. Okay, seeds will disperse from one place to the another by the means of insects, or by the means of wind, or by the means of water, any way it may be. Okay, so these seeds get dispersed from one place to another. Okay, hence it prevents the competition, and the plants will get the proper sunlight, water and minerals. Okay, it also enables the plants to invade new habitats for wider distribution. Okay, yes, as I have seen, seeds and fruits of the plants are carried away by wind, water and animals. Okay, so here winged seeds such as those of drumsticks and maple, light seeds of grasses or hairy seeds of oak and hairy seeds of sunlights get blown off with the wind far away place. Okay, these examples are nothing but the seeds which which are very light. Okay, if they are present in the nature, they can just fly off. When there is high wind, these seeds will fly off. That is, these seeds get dispersed from the one place to the another, and where that seed lands, again it grows into a new plant. Okay, so that's what happens. Some seeds are dispersed by water. Okay, these fruits or seeds usually develop floating ability in the form of spongy or fibrous outer coat, as in coconut. Okay, so see here the seeds have been displaced by wind. Here the seeds have been dispersed by water. Again, some seeds can also be dispersed by the animals. Okay, so there are various types of seed dispersal. Okay, why the importance of seed dispersal is because it's a natural phenomena. It happens. Okay, why? And this is important because if the most of the seeds are present together, okay, what do plant need? It needs sunlight, water, minerals and everything. Okay, when all these seeds are present together, when they are congested, or they compete with each other. Okay, hence no plant will grow properly. So that's why it's a speed dispersal. It's a natural phenomena. The seed will disperse. There is a displacement of the seed either by wind, either by water, either by any animal. Okay, so which makes the seed to move away from that place to another, and where the seed lands or where the seeds gets to the other place, there again it grows into a new individual. Okay, so that is about this seed dispersal. Okay, and with this discussion, the chapter reproduction in plants completes. Okay, so in this chapter we have basically seen the reproduction in plants. Okay, so there are two types, that is asexual and sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, we have seen vegetative propagation, budding, fragmentation and spore formation. Okay, so in vegetative propagation, we have stem. Okay, we have cuttings, we have roots, we have eyebuds, example potato. Okay, all these are vegetative parts which are involved in the reproduction. Hence, it is called vegetative propagation. Okay, here so this is an example of the vegetative propagation, and we have also seen the advantages of this vegetative propagation. Okay, so here we have another process of asexual reproduction, that is budding. Okay, budding, the word itself says buds are involved. Okay, so what are these buds? Buds are the smaller outgrowths of the from this body. Okay, so these buds develops into a new individual. And also there is fragmentation, example algae. Here the whole body gets fragmented into two different individuals, and again this grows into a new individual. Okay, here the reproduction is due to these fragments, hence the process is called fragmentation. Okay, the same way here the reproduction happens from spore formation. Examples are moss and ferns. Alright, so yes, now we have also studied about the sexual reproduction in plants. Okay, so sexual reproduction happens when the both male and female gametes meet. Stamen is the male reproductive organ or this thing, and this pistil is the female reproductive part. Stamen contains anther inside which pollen grains are present, which produces male gametes, and pistil is the reproductive part which has stigma style ovary, and this ovule, okay, inside this ovule are present which contains the female gamete. Okay, flowers which are having either stamen or pistil are called unisexual flowers. Flowers which are having both stamen and pistil are called bisexual flowers. Okay, and for the reproduction, this has to be transferred. This male gamete is transferred to the stigma, that is the female gamete. Now this transfer of male anther to the stigma of the female flower is called pollination. Okay, so again this pollination is of two types, that is self pollination and cross pollination. Okay, so this anther, if it gets transferred to the stigma of the same flower, is called self pollination, and the anther is transferred, or the pollen grains present in the anther transferred to the different flower, different stigma, is called cross pollination. Okay, so again we have seen about the fertilization. Okay, the process of fusion of male and female gametes, okay, to form a zygote is called fertilization. And also this ovary develops into to form a fruit, and ovule develops to form into a seed. Okay, so few fruits develop into juicy and fleshy like mango, apple, and some fruits are very hard like almond and walnuts. And yes, there is something called seed dispersal, which is a natural phenomena. Okay, and here the seeds are dispersed by the action of either wind, water, and also animals. Okay, so this importance of this seed dispersal is it prevents competition. Okay, this seed dispersal prevents competition between the plants and its seedlings for sunlight, water, and minerals. Okay, and this also enables the plant to invade new habitat for wider distribution. Okay, so this is about the chapter reproduction in plants. Okay, with this discussion we have completed the chapter reproduction in plants. Thank you.